Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to be discussing, if you don't already know by the title, why you should not move to Texas. Why Texas is not that ideal state and grand state that everyone kind of sees. That's what this video is going to really touch base on. If you're thinking about moving to Texas, you may want to go to some neighboring states that are around. But not Texas itself. I know it's a big state and everyone wants to kind of experience the largest state, in America. But you guys will regret that and eventually if you do choose to stay here long term and build a family and do this and do that. It's just not ideal. It's not that fantasy state that anyone wants to be. There's nothing upscale, luxury about it. California would be something I would kind of say is like, wow, more modern, more chic, more upscale, or New York too, but if you're looking for that southern place, and everyone wants to see what that big state is about, Texas, and it's like, guys, you're in for a rude awakening if you try that. It's there's many things that go into play about Texas, the government, the structure, the everything about it, power. Everything is such a big deal in Texas that everything turns out to be just such a big deal in Texas to the point it's like, you start to think, why did I move here? I've heard from some other people that, moved from like Indiana, Michigan, and other various states that, they thought they were going to come to Texas and get this big, great view on life and new journey, and it's not what it is, guys. There's so much that factors into living in Texas. So that's what we're going to discuss today, the reasons you shouldn't move to Texas, the neighboring states you could possibly consider before you go to move your family here to Texas. We're really going to touch on that today. So, all right. One of the first reasons I would, tell anyone to not move to Texas is due to the fact that Texas is swarmed by, unpredictable earthquakes, unpredictable hurricanes, unpredictable storms, all these things that you cannot really know will happen. And I guess life is unpredictable. We know that. No one knows tomorrow. But when you're living in Texas, those chances are higher. You're more susceptible to going through a house flood. You're more susceptible to getting bitten by a mosquito. And these are probably just little things. You're more susceptible to that, lots of mosquitoes and having to deal with, people that don't speak English, even if you're a millionaire or billionaire, it's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If the fact you're moving to Texas, you're going to be subjected to whatever comes with Texas. So if you're, coming to Texas, and I guess you want to go out to eat, and the people that you're going to go, the person serving you doesn't speak English, or this, that, or anything, guys, you're going to be subject to that, and you cannot complain on it because it's kind of like what you signed up for. So we're going to go into detail about that. I'm going to give you guys all the gist, all the tips, everything you should learn, think about before you reside in Texas. So yes, all right. So first thing I wanted to touch on is the increased level of minorities here. Texas is, oversaturated and overpopulated by minorities from different countries. So those different countries can be like Mexico, really southern places like South America. And unfortunately, it's not really too much of a bad thing, but, in those other kind of like third countries and places that, these people do come from and come to America, there's many things that come along with that. So they have a different tradition, a different way of thinking, a different way of living. So what I mean by that is like, some of them might not speak English. So it's, but they are allowed to work, and it's like they have to service you. And guys, there's been a situation where, a couple in Texas was literally poisoned because the server did not speak English. They wanted something to drink. And at one point, the server didn't know what they asked for. So they went ahead and just provided these customers with a tall glass of chemical solution as their drink. And these this couple died. They eventually died, and they had to close out that restaurant because, you know, this server didn't know English. He didn't know how to comprehend. But that did not, you know, and that's the thing in Texas. You don't really need to, I guess, have too much to get a job here. You can work, you know, if you don't know English, if you don't have a green card, there's, you know, many jobs that would hire you. You know, so that's always great for them, you know, but it's like, you know, think of the quality and you know, this couple that could have been alive now. So it really, really hurts to hear that. And not only that, it's just like, you know, a lot of people from those South American countries and Mexico, of course, they have their own way of thinking, you know. My previous managers and supervisors really didn't know how to supervise, you know, a set of employees, like a set of 20 employees. So it's like they keep going based on what they've learned in their previous countries, and it's really, it doesn't match up to what we need to learn here in America. And you don't never want to be taught a different set of values than what you've already been taught. You know, that's the point of living in America, for a better life. So if you're being taught something else from, I guess, a third world country, it really sucks. So I don't know, guys, that's something to consider, especially when you have your children and you want to send them off to school. Some schools are corrupt, you know, some schools are just not even worth it. Some, you know, they're, in anywhere you're going to have like bad teachers, but you know, like, it's terrible. It's not, Texas is not the place you want to live. And think about those earthquakes, you know, your house getting flooded, you know, not having renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance. These are things you're going to have to come out of pocket for eventually. So it's like you can kind of get away with just living the cheap life in Texas, but God forbid a natural disaster happens and your house is flooded. You will be liable for paying for that if you don't have the homeowner's insurance. And not even that, think about the repairs. Think about, you know, oh, how am I going to relocate to this place? Or where else am I going to go? You know, we moved to Texas. We thought it was the best thing to do. Now I have to find somewhere else to go because Texas sucks. So it's something you have to consider. It's not a pot of gold. It's not silver and gold here. It's the biggest state, true, but it just a lot goes into it. You know, you have to deal with minorities. There's a lot of things you have to deal with that you probably don't have to deal with if you're in a different state. The mosquitoes, you know, and the schools here are not really that awesome. There's no well-known recognized schools here besides Rice University. I would say that's pretty good and outstanding for the whole state of Texas. But other than that, I don't know. Anyone that's moving here, you really have to consider that. And I don't know how to really explain it to someone that's just adamant about coming to Houston. You know, I know a lot of times it's about the finances. They want something cheap. They want to get a lot for their buck. And true, you can do that here. Houses are cheap here. But you have to think in the long run and be logical about your reasoning for moving to Texas. Like even just a couple of weeks ago, the winter storm happened and people had to leave out of Texas. I mean, so think about it, you know, Texas being your dream place to come to, and now you have to leave that dream place, you know, and it's like the state just doesn't care. You know, like I said in my previous video, you can be a millionaire, you can be a billionaire. Everyone will be subjected to the same infrastructure, the same issues, the same everything. So if they don't care about, you know, if you're higher than this person or this, you'll be treated the same here by the government. So it really sucks. There are friendly people in Houston, but for me, I think of everything like more in a logical way, and just how I just don't want to be subjected to anything that happens, or of a flood, an unpredictable flood, or you know, anything, guys. So Texas, you know, another thing is that it's really hot and it's really cheap, you know, here, but these are not things that I would gravitate to for me and my family. I would want to go to something more upscale like New York or, you know, New Jersey, like I said in my previous video. That's where you start to see, you know, a nice millennial upgraded side of the world. When you come to the South, you get nothing here. You know, there's nothing too exciting. If you want to go on vacation, it's not a vacation spot to even start with, you know, so there's nothing too exciting about Texas. So I wouldn't never recommend someone to come to Texas. They do have a good sales tax. Things are just cheap. That's the only thing that would be a reason for someone to come here. But it's like when you weigh in the cons of living in Texas, okay, my house can get flooded. Okay, the state might not know this, or okay, I can possibly be poisoned by someone that doesn't speak English, or and that's happened to me. There's a lot of conniving in Texas, and that's just because of the minority people that live here. So you have a lot of foreigners here from Mexico. I know there was one time I had a dental appointment, and I don't know what happened to the receptionist one day. She got really angry and hung up the phone when I was trying to make a dental appointment. So that scares me, that it can kind of linger into the health side of it. Like, no. Like, I'm just learning that someone already got poisoned because the server didn't know English. Now we're getting into my dental appointment, and this receptionist that's having a bad day just hung up the phone on me, just lied to the dentist and said, oh, okay, she's, this is the customer's fault. And literally, guys, had ransacked me from that dental office and said I can no longer return back. So it's terrible. It's like they're kind of taking over Texas, the Mexicans. And I don't know, it's just fallen into this large pit hole here. And it's like, whoever lives in Texas, you're falling right into that. You're falling right into that hole. So it's like, I feel like, the minorities kind of taking over, Mexicans in particular, they're taking over Texas. They are controlling everything in terms of the employers. If you're in a business office space, they're taking control of that. If you're in a dental office and just trying to schedule your appointment, they're taking over that. And they're, like I said earlier, they're including their own values they learned from different countries, their own third world values. They're bringing that into a state of America. And that's, I don't know who wants to go through that, but I'm like, I don't want to relive something that I'm not part of, or Mexico, like, so it's like when it starts to take away from the American values and you kind of like don't know where you are in life, you tend to just want to run away and not even come back to Texas. So guys, if that's what you want that Spanish feel, that Mexican vibe, and being told what to do. And guys, a lot of Mexicans are just rude, and that's what's happening here. You're seeing a lot of rude people controlling, telling you this, telling you that, telling you basically the wrong thing. And it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And there's really no direction here in Texas. It's like a free for all, situation. You come here, you do what you do, and you go home. And I don't know, I can't live in those situations. And I'm letting you guys know this because I'm coming from a true state of mind. I've lived in Texas over 21 years, so I have enough, experience in living in the South, and the Texas is just not one of those places. You can visit, take a little vacation, see what the big state is about, but never think about coming to a state that has no direction. The government doesn't care about you. It's a free-for-all situation, every man for themselves. So take that into consideration, guys. If you have a family, definitely don't move here. That's not going to be a fun thing to explain to your child, this and this and that, or the corruption in Texas, or, it's just not going to be a fun conversation. So for me, I would say definitely weigh out those options. I've listed all the options there for you guys to really consider. If you're still adamant about living here, then you have to face the repercussions on what you see. But yeah, there's some people that can live in the South, that's Southern, and they love it. And there's some that don't. Another thing about Texas is that everybody wants to know your business. Everybody is trying to get to know, well, did you do this? Even at the jobs, even if you're going to a grocery store, everyone's just friendly and just trying to get to know some information. And sometimes they use that against you. So be careful of who you're telling your information to. And this is just a general statement as well. Be careful. In the South, everybody wants to know who's who, what's that, what's this, and a lot of gossip, a lot of chit chatter. That's not what I love. That's not what I want to be a part of. There's this Southern charm, I would say, people being friendly. That is different. But guys, when they use what Chief said against you, that is terrible. So, and this can be at any job. I worked at a whole law firm, and there's people gossip left and right and say lies about you, and this and that. And I'm like, there's no professionality here because everyone is under that third world mentality. You know, the Mexicans and everyone from the third world countries are coming here for a better, cheaper life and way to live. And people have to suffer. People that are not from third world countries have to suffer for that. People have to pay higher taxes, you know, for people that don't have citizenships and move here and or don't work, or let's say there's someone on unemployment benefits, your taxes go higher and you have to compensate for that. So it's terrible, guys. I mean, this is just the gist of it all. I would not recommend anyone to live here. There's nothing fun or exciting about Texas besides the granular state or grand state it is, but I don't know, guys. And that's basically it. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys Texas natives? What do you think about Texas? Leave your comments down below. I would love to know what you think, and thank you.